Quest for Home 30,000 BC is a single-player game about guiding a clan of 8 Neanderthal people safely to a new cave. They've lost their home and they need somewhere else to live. During the game, the clan will be trekking through different types of terrain, and they'll be encountering events which may force them to make a protect roll. They'll be suffering from various conditions. They may get hungry, they may get sad, they may get cold, they may get weary if they push themselves. To alleviate these conditions, they'll be rolling dice. Each member of the clan adds a different amount of dice to the overall dice pool. The toddler only adds 1 die. The youth adds 2 dice. The adults each add 3 dice to the pool. Some adults are better at certain activities. This woman is very good at foraging. That's the green dice. This man is very good at protection. That's the red dice. This man is especially good at cheering people up. The yellow dice, which are used to raise morale. He also has 1 die in crafting. That's the black dice. The elders in the clan contribute a white die, which is a wild die that can be used for any roll. When you roll the dice, you're looking for successes. A success is a thumbs up. If the die rolls blank, that's not a success. So when you want to try and do something, you'll be picking up all of the dice of a particular color. Let's say we're making a protection roll. You'll be rolling them and you'll be counting the number of successes. In this case, 3 successes. Along the way, your people might get sick from various illnesses, and they may find medicinal herbs that can cure those illnesses. To set up the game, first you will shuffle all of the people cards and deal yourself 8 clan members. Next, you'll look at how many dice each contributes to the dice pools, and you'll pull those dice out of these bags. The next thing you have to do is set up the terrain deck. The cave will be one of the last 4 cards in the deck. So you draw 3 cards, put the cave card into it, give it a good shuffle, and then put the rest of the deck on top. So the clan will have to trudge through up to 18 terrain cards. In the bottom 4 cards, one of them will be the cave card. That's their destination. You then give the other cards a good shuffle, and you're ready to go. The first thing you need to do is determine, why is the clan forced to move from its old home? To do that, you roll a regular d6 and see what happens. In this case, it's reason 5. A sickness wiped out the rest of your clan. Your old cave must be cursed. 1 member of your clan is sick. Whenever somebody gets sick, you randomly determine which illness they have, roll the die, consult this guide over here. In this case, 5 is dysentery. So we'll pull out a dysentery token. We can choose which member of the clan is sick. We'll just say that this woman is sick. Now we're good to go. Each turn, the clan will either be camping, staying put, moving slowly, or moving quickly. On the first turn, they can't camp. They have to get moving. So we'll say we've decided to move slowly. When we're moving slowly, we draw 1 terrain card, we flip it, and we draw one event to go with it. The first thing we need to do is resolve the event. So in our first turn, we've encountered an unfriendly clan who are demanding our food. We can give it to them, in which case some of our clan will go hungry, or we can fight them. Let's assume we've decided to fight them. Fighting them involves a protect roll. Protecting is done with the red dice. We grab all of the red dice in our dice pool and we roll. We see how many successes we got. Had we wished to, we could have added the white die to that roll, the wild die, but the white die can only be used once per turn, and we may want to save the white die for doing something else, in this case probably for crafting, because our people are not very good at crafting. So we've got 2 successes. We look at the card, and 2 successes means we drive those people off. No problem. We've dealt with it. We now pause on the meadow. We've decided to move slowly. We're only drawing 1 card. And now we have to take care of the day-to-day activities that will keep us alive. So we can choose to do 2 out of the 3 things that the clan is capable of doing. We can forage for food and medicinal plants. We can entertain ourselves to keep morale up, or we can craft. So we can do any 2 of those things. When we're on a meadow and we've chosen slow movement, we can re-roll 1 green die and 1 yellow die. We decide that we're going to keep our spirits up and we're going to forage. Because we're not crafting this turn, D3 of our people are going to get cold. So we roll the die, we divide by half and round up, so 3 people are going to get cold. So we put cold tokens on any 3 people that we choose. It should be noted that each person can only have 1 of each type of token, whether it's a condition token or a sickness token on them. So we don't ever put 2 of the same type of token on a person. So 3 people are going to get cold. Now we're going to roll to make sure we can keep our spirits up. We get at least 1 success, so we don't have to take any sadness tokens. And we're also going to forage. We decide that we're going to split our dice. We're going to devote 3 dice to foraging for food, 4 dice to foraging for medicinal plants, and we're going to toss the wild die in there as well. When you're making this decision, you could devote all of your dice to foraging for food in the hopes of removing hungry tokens. You could devote all of your dice to foraging for medicinal plants, but then you would take D3 hungry tokens because all you were finding was medicinal plants, not food, or you can split them as we've done here. So first I'm going to forage for food. I get at least 1 success, so nobody goes hungry. I could have re-rolled 1 of those green dice, but there's no need to. I'm going to save the re-roll for this roll. So now we forage for medicinal plants, and we found 3 medicinal plants. This meadow is really rich in that, and we re-roll 1 of those dice. That's our re-roll. And in total we find 3 medicinal plants. Which 3 do we find? We roll a die to determine that. We find number 6. So we have a medicinal plant that's good against fever. We find number 5. So we found a medicinal plant that's good against dysentery, which is great for this individual. And we find number 4, a plant that's good against urinary infections. Now we have to check to see if any of the people who has a condition on them get sick, or if the sick person dies of their illness. To do that, we roll this die for each person, and however many counters they have on them, we need to roll greater than that number for them to not get sick. So in this case, we roll, he rolled a 6, he's fine. He rolled a 4, he's fine. He rolled a 3, he's fine. Let's say he had rolled a 1, however. He's got 1 counter on him, so a 1 is a failure. We would remove that counter, and he would fall sick. Which illness does he fall sick with? He falls sick with a rash. So that's what he's got. The next thing we do is decide whether we're going to cure anybody if we have medicinal herbs that will cure them. We have a medicinal herb that will cure dysentery. If we spend it, we get to cure all instances of dysentery. So we'll say we spent it, she gets better, and we no longer have to check to see if she's going to die from her illness. We do have to check to see if this fellow's rash gets to the point where he dies of it. We roll the dice. It's the same procedure as before. He's got 1 sickness token, so if he rolls a 1, he would die. He survived. He rolled a 5. But if he had died, we would flip his card over to indicate that he's dead, and we would remove 2 red dice and 1 green die from our dice pool. On the second day of their journey, the clan could camp in place. If they camped, they don't draw an event card and they spend the entire day on the meadow. But they've decided to press on. So they draw a second terrain card and an event card. This time, the event does not require a protection roll. It simply requires a decision. Do we want to stay and try and gather some obsidian that we can use for tools, or do we want to ignore the obsidian? If we gather the obsidian, we would simply roll a d6 to determine the outcome, but we've decided just to ignore the obsidian. We're going to leave it where it is. Now we're on an ice field. There's no foraging on an ice field, no plants grow there. We're walking across a glacier. So we decide at this point that we don't want to linger here. We're going to travel quickly. When you travel quickly, you draw a second terrain card, you draw a second event card, you resolve the event. In this case, a saber-toothed tiger has attacked our clan. We have to kill it before it drags off its victim. We need to make a protect roll. We could add the white die to the roll if we wanted to this turn. We're not going to. We roll, and we see how many successes we get. In this case, we got 4 successes, which is pretty good. So not only do we kill the tiger, but we get some meat from it. And we could remove up to d6 hungry tokens. Nobody's hungry, so that doesn't apply right now. Now, because we moved quickly, we drew 2 cards. What we need to do is see who gets weary. We roll a die, divide by 2, round up, so 2 people are going to get weary. We have to place weary tokens on anybody who's sick or anybody who's injured in our clan first. So we do that, and then the second token can go wherever we like. Okay, now we decide which of the 2 activities we want to do. Do we want to forage? Do we want to take care of morale? Or do we want to craft? In this case, we've got a couple of cold tokens that we'd really like to remove. So let's try crafting. We add the white die to it. We roll, and we've got 2 successes. That means we can remove 2 cold tokens. Because we moved quickly, we only get a reroll on protection rolls. What we actually should have done was re-rolled one of these dice just to see if we did get an extra success. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 was still the same result that we got before. So we've crafted, and we're going to keep foraging for food and medicinal plants. We're going to continue to split our dice. So we'll roll this for finding food. We could have added more dice. We could have shifted these dice around and changed the ratio. We didn't have any successes. So D3 of our people are going to go hungry. That's 3 people. So we draw 3 hungry tokens and we distribute them to whoever we like. Do we find any medicinal plants? We find 1. Let's see what we find. 4. We've already got number 4. So that roll doesn't do anything. We simply find more of the same. So that's day 2. The final thing we do this day is determine, does anybody get sick? Does anybody die of their illnesses? So we roll for each person who's got conditions on them. He's okay. He's okay on anything but a 1. She's okay on anything but a 1. He's okay on anything but a 1. He has 1 condition token on him, so he's okay on anything but a 1. He then has to also roll for his sickness. He doesn't die of his sickness. So you roll separately for the condition tokens and for the illness tokens. So I tend to keep the illness tokens on one side of the cards and the condition tokens on the other side of the cards, just to make that clear. We've wrapped up our day. So now it's time to decide, do we camp or move on? If we camp, we get a re-roll of 1 green die and 2 black dice. We decide we're going to camp. We don't draw an event card because we're staying in place. And because we're staying in place, we get to remove some of these weary tokens. How many do we remove? We roll a d6. We divide by half, round up, so we can remove up to 3 tokens. We only have 2, so we remove them. Then we decide that we're going to put a couple more dice into hunger because we'd really like to get rid of all these 3 hunger tokens. If we can, we roll. We get a re-roll of 1 of the green dice. We only rolled 1 success, so we can only remove 1 hunger token. We then decide we're going to craft. We don't get any successes, so some of our people are going to get cold. 3 of them are going to get cold. And we did not try to raise morale. 2 of our people are going to get sad. I neglected to roll these 2 dice. I'll do that now. For medicinal herbs, we don't find any. So
you would then check to see if anyone falls sick or if anyone dies.
You continue through the cards until you reach the cave card. When you reach the cave card, you draw 1 last event. The cave card gives you 3 bonus white dice, which you grab from the bag. You play through 1 more round of deciding which 2 activities to do, of checking to see if anybody who's got a condition token becomes sick, of checking to see if anybody who's got a sick token becomes so ill that they die of their illness. And the final thing you do is score the game. Now, one thing to note about the cave is that it can only hold so many people. So what you're going to do is roll 3 dice, 3 regular dice, to determine how many people can it hold. It can hold 15 people. That's plenty big enough to hold everybody here. If we had rolled really poorly, let's say we rolled 4, only 4 people from our clan could move into this cave. The others would have to continue on their journey and search for a second cave in which to live. The rules describe how to do that. But in this case, we've got plenty of room for everybody. So the way we score is we get 10 points for everybody who made it to the cave. We then subtract 5 points for everybody who's sick, each character who's sick. It doesn't matter how many illnesses they had on them. Even if this guy was sick with 3 different illnesses, you would only remove 5 for that person. And finally, we remove 3 points from our score for anybody who was injured. So let's say this woman had become injured along the journey and had 2 of her dice locked. We would subtract 3 points for her because she's injured. And then finally, we would count up the number of condition tokens and subtract 1 point for each condition token. So that's the game. I hope you enjoy it.